Here's something nobody expected. The AI company famous for generating images just announced it's building hardware that scans your entire body. Midjourney went from text prompts to ultrasonic scanners. Let me explain why this is actually massive. Midjourney became a household name by letting anyone type a description and generate stunning AI images in seconds. A Victorian steampunk airship over London at sunset. Boom, 4 unique, detailed images appear. The company grew to billions in valuation by making AI art accessible to millions of creators worldwide. But here's what David Holes and his team realized. Images are flat. They're beautiful, they're useful for marketing and concept art, but they're inherently 2D. And 3D is where the real value is. Games, medical diagnostics, industrial design, digital avatars, they all need fast, accurate ways to capture 3D geometry. Ultrasonic scanning is perfect for this. Unlike CT or MRI machines that cost millions and require radiation, ultrasound is cheap, safe, and can capture detailed 3D data of your entire body in under a minute. Midjourney's bet is bold. If we own the scanning hardware, we own the 3D data pipeline. And whoever controls the data controls the AI. This announcement signals something bigger. Midjourney isn't just adding a product line. They are signaling where the entire AI industry is headed. Not just generating 2D pictures, but capturing and understanding real-world 3D structure at massive scale. That's a fundamentally different company vision. To understand why Midjourney is doing this, you need to know what happened to image generation. When Midjourney launched in 2022, it was genuinely revolutionary. The ability to describe anything in plain English and get photorealistic results in seconds changed creative work overnight. Millions of designers, illustrators, and marketers started using it. Within 18 months, the company had trained millions of users, built an extraordinarily strong reputation for output quality, and reached profitability. Competitors like Stable Diffusion and Dolly 3 emerged, but Midjourney maintained its edge. The company's valuation hit the billions. Success seemed inevitable, but here's the problem Holes identified. The image generation space was becoming commoditized. Every tech giant with GPU resources could build an image generator. Stable Diffusion went open source. Google shipped Dolly 3 integration. The moat was eroding. Then Holes looked at what the creative industry actually needed. Game developers spending months capturing 3D character data, medical professionals struggling with expensive scanning equipment, 3D printing companies without affordable ways to digitize objects. 3D data was desperately wanted and difficultly obtained. No other AI company was attacking that problem at scale. Ultrasound was the obvious choice. Cheap compared to CT or MRI, safe, no radiation, and it naturally produces 3D data that feeds directly into AI systems. Midjourney's strategy is elegant. Own the hardware, own the data, train the best generative models on that data, and build a business nobody else can replicate. So how does a full-body ultrasonic scanner actually work? You're probably familiar with ultrasound from pregnancy scans or sports injury assessments. A transducer, basically a high-frequency speaker, sends sound waves into your body. Those waves bounce off organs, bones, and tissues, and the transducer picks up the echoes. A computer reconstructs those echoes into images showing internal structure. Here's the clever part. A standard ultrasound probe is small, about the size of a computer mouse. It scans one area at a time. A full-body scanner needs to capture 3D data of your entire body simultaneously or in a coordinated sequence. That means either an array of transducers, imagine dozens of ultrasound probes working together, or a sophisticated robotic system that moves a probe across your body in a precise pattern. What Midjourney is building appears to be the latter, a system that scans a person standing or lying down, capturing high-resolution 3D geometry from head to toe. The scan might take a few seconds to a couple of minutes, depending on resolution targets. The output is a complete 3D model of your body's surface and internal structures like muscle and bone. Here's why this differs from existing tech. A CT scanner uses radiation and costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. An MRI is even more expensive and takes 30 minutes per scan. A full-body ultrasound scanner could scan you in under a minute with zero radiation exposure. That's a completely different product category. So how could this technology actually get used? First, medicine. Doctors would scan a patient in under a minute, get a complete 3D model of their anatomy, and use it to plan surgery, track disease, or screen for tumors. Pregnancy scans could be faster and let parents see detailed 3D models of their baby instead of grainy 2D images that are hard to interpret. But Midjourney's interest probably extends beyond healthcare. In games and film, studios spend months on motion capture and photogrammetry to turn real actors into 3D models suitable for game engines. A full-body ultrasonic scanner captures that in seconds. That data feeds directly into character pipelines, digital avatars, and virtual clothing try-ons for fashion brands. Then there's 3D printing and product design. An industrial designer scans a physical prototype or competitor's product and instantly gets a precise 3D model to analyze or iterate. Medical device manufacturers could scan patient anatomy to design customized implants, titanium knee replacements shaped exactly to someone's bones and tissue structure. Here's the really interesting angle though, training data for AI. If Midjourney captures thousands of full-body ultrasound scans, they own a goldmine of 3D human anatomy. They can train generative models that create synthetic humans, detect pathologies, or predict body composition from a scan. That's something no competitor has at scale right now. Ultrasound data is cheaper and safer to collect at scale than CT or MRI. You can ethically run thousands of scans without radiation concerns. Other AI companies have to buy datasets. Midjourney builds theirs in-house. So how does this stack up against existing scanning technologies? Photogrammetry, hundreds of photos stitched together, is how most game studios capture 3D models today. It's relatively cheap and accessible, but it only captures surfaces. You can't see bones, organs, or internal structures. That's a major limitation for anatomically accurate digital humans. CT scanning gives you 3D internal data, but it uses radiation. That's absolutely fine for diagnosing tumors or fractures. The benefit outweighs the risk, but it's not something you'd use for routine body scanning or capturing healthy volunteers. Plus, a CT machine costs between $500,000 and $2 million and requires specially trained technicians. MRI machines are even pricier, between $1 million and $3 million. A full-body scan takes 30 to 45 minutes. They're extraordinarily powerful for soft tissue diagnostics, but the cost and time make them impractical for routine use or data collection at scale. Ultrasound, by contrast, is cheap. A portable ultrasound machine costs $15,000 to $50,000. It uses zero radiation. A scan takes seconds to minutes, depending on complexity. The trade-off is resolution. Ultrasound can't match CT or MRI for tiny structures. But for capturing gross anatomy, detecting larger pathologies, and 3D geometry suitable for digital avatars or 3D printing, ultrasound is perfect. Midjourney's scanner occupies a completely new space. Affordable, fast, safe, producing detailed 3D data that feeds directly into AI systems. It's not replacing hospital CT or MRI machines. It's replacing photogrammetry and professional 3D scanning rigs, but with the added advantage of seeing inside the body. That's genuinely novel. What does this mean for Midjourney and the AI industry? First, the business change. Right now, Midjourney is a software subscription business with excellent margins. Adding hardware, manufacturing, servicing, regulatory approval is operationally complex and expensive. But it pays off because ultrasound data is what AI companies crave. Training generative models that create realistic humans requires massive datasets of 3D human geometry. Those datasets are rare and expensive. Midjourney could own an entire category by controlling the scanner. There's also a regulatory moat. Ultrasonic scanners are medical devices. That means FDA approval, clinical trials, liability insurance, expensive and time-consuming. But once approved, competitors face the same gauntlet. That barrier is hard to replicate and creates years of competitive advantage. The bigger implication is for 3D content creation. Making realistic digital humans is expensive, time-consuming, and requires expert artists. If Midjourney scans someone in 30 seconds and outputs a game-ready model, they've automated a massive production bottleneck. Game studios and film productions would pay significantly for that workflow speed-up. And here's what's absolutely critical. Midjourney would be collecting intimate biometric data, your body geometry, your organs, your anatomy. That's extraordinarily valuable for training AI and extraordinarily sensitive from a privacy perspective. We need to see how they handle data storage, user consent, and deletion requests before this goes mainstream. This also signals where Midjourney sees the future, not just generating pictures, but capturing and understanding real-world 3D structure at scale. That suggests they believe the next wave of AI won't be 2D image generators. It'll be systems that understand and manipulate 3D physical reality. If Midjourney releases this scanner, how might creators actually use it? Imagine you're a game studio making a sports game. You hire an athlete. You place them in a booth with Midjourney's full-body scanner. 60 seconds later, you have a high-resolution 3D mesh of their body, muscle structure, bone proportions, accurate geometry. That model feeds directly into your game engine. Instead of spending weeks with a 3D artist hand-sculpting every body part, you're starting from real-world anatomical data. You apply textures, animations, and customization on top. Work that normally takes months compresses into days. Or imagine you're a fashion brand offering virtual try-ons. You scan a model's body. Now you have accurate 3D reference. Designers drape digital garments on that model, iterate quickly, and show customers realistic previews before manufacturing anything. In medical contexts, a doctor scans a patient before spinal surgery. The scan produces a 3D model of vertebrae and surrounding tissue. Surgical planning software simulates the procedure, identifies risks, and optimizes approach. The surgeon enters the operating room already having rehearsed on a digital replica of that patient's unique anatomy. Here's where it gets really interesting: integration with generative AI. Once you have a scanned body, you feed that data into an AI model. The model learns body shape, generates variations, and swaps out body types or modifies anatomy for animation purposes. You're not just capturing data, you're building a generative foundation. Create one scan, and the AI multiplies it into hundreds of synthetic variations suited to your specific creative need. Here's what this means for you. Midjourney just signaled that the future of AI isn't just about generating pictures. It's about capturing, understanding, and manipulating 3D reality at scale. That has massive implications for medicine, for game development, for digital content creation, for how we build digital twins of the physical world. The company went from "let's make image generation accessible" to "let's build the hardware that lets AI companies scale 3D data collection." That's the kind of strategic pivot that reshapes entire industries. Will it succeed? There are real challenges. Manufacturing medical-grade hardware is difficult. Regulatory approval takes time. Privacy concerns around biometric data are legitimate and worth taking seriously. But Midjourney has shown it can execute. They took speculative AI research and turned it into a company worth tens of billions in 2 years. They might pull this off too. Watch for 3 things. First, timeline: when does a public product launch? Second, price point: is this a $50,000 device for studios and hospitals or something more accessible? Third, privacy handling: can users opt out of having their scans used for AI training? Can they delete their data? This isn't just medical hardware. It's Midjourney signaling where AI goes next, from 2D images into 3D physical understanding. That's the next frontier. If they own the tools to capture that data at scale, they own the future. Powerful companies control data pipelines. Data pipelines control everything. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss how this unfolds. Follow for daily AI news.